Back years ago, when when I was racing, okay, when I raced, it was this time of year, probably actually a little bit before this. I would always look ahead. Okay, what do I need to do for 2011? What do I need to do that I can be better? What do I need to do to my equipment? What as far as engines, cars, whatever. What do we need to do to get better for next year? Yeah, we had a great year past year, but this year, we want to get better. We want to do more. We want to win more races, And I believe as a church, we can carry that same, it's a little, a totally different goals, but, what do we need to do? And there's some stuff that the elders the past couple months, we've just been talking, seeking God, looking ahead, the church. What do you want for River Church in 2011? What do we need to do different? What do we need to add to? And I'll be honest with you, we really feel like over the past 2 years, well, about a year and 3/4 since the church started, we're on this path and we're going to continue on that path. But one thing, I spent some time just seeking the Lord in this, and one word that I heard through this whole thing, and we're going to talk about some different things this morning that we're going to see happen over the next year. But I feel like the word that I heard was increase, that we're going to have an increase this year of whatever that looks like. We have some particular stuff we're going to talk about. But for the church here, it's going to be a year of increase. So we'll see what that looks like, and we'll see how that all shapes out. As we follow him, God is this. Remember, guys, this is his church. This isn't Bob and Debbie Landis. This isn't the elders' church. It's, we're part of God's church. That family that comes together and walks in unity and walks together in that. And so we keep our eyes on him. And that's first and foremost. So having said that, we need to increase, keeping our eyes on him. God, what do you want for us for this coming year? What's going to happen? What would happen if all of a sudden God starts pulling, in the next 3-4 months, we get another 20 or 30 families and we're out of room in here. And, so we always need to be thinking ahead how God's going to move. And we're going to watch what he does. We've tried to do that from the very beginning, is look and see what the Lord's doing here, and in a sense, jump on board with that. The things that we see happening naturally, and the things that we see expanding, the things that we see increasing, and that's what we're going to do this year. We're just going to keep following him, so that doesn't change. But there's a couple things that in the natural that we're seeing already that I want to just talk to you briefly about. And this is not going to be, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here, I'll be honest with you. If you have any questions about that, and I want to lay this out front, we just had elders meeting Friday afternoon, and we felt like, to make sure if you have anything that you want to talk about, any questions you have, come to us, talk to us, or, email us, phone us, whatever. Our door is always open. That's the way a family operates, where we can talk. And if you have any questions, please come to us. Any questions on, on the budget or anything that we do, or suggestions, we are open. Come to us. We're all in this together. And it just so happened that, Debbie and I and the elders are the ones God chose to lead this church. It could have just as easy been Randy and Renee, or it could have been, you, right? Chelsea, Yeah, I know. Now you know how I feel, But anyway, that's the way it is. So we're all in this together, and there's some that are parents and some that are kids. It's a family, but we all operate together, and that's pretty cool to see. So anyway, having said all that, one of the first things that we feel there's going to be an increase in, and you've just seen it here, is kids ministry. This has been on our hearts from the very day that we started the church. And I'll just tell you a quick story. I don't know how many of you had heard this story. When we had this was in 2008, I think, we went down to Morning Star Church down in outside of Charlotte, Fort Mills, and we signed up for a time of prophecy where they actually have somebody sit down and hear a word from you for the Lord, and it was pretty cool. So Debbie and I go in this little area there, and we're sitting there, and all of a sudden, guess what walks in and sits right down with us? 3 kids, 10-year-old kids that have the gift of prophecy, and we're looking at them, God bless them, and they give us a word for the church. And you know what? They heard stuff that we were hearing, scriptures that God had given us. They had, it was pretty cool to see. So right then and there, there was something happened that God is using kids today. This past year, there was kids that had led we heard a couple stories where they actually led their friends to the Lord, invited their friends to church. I mean, just neat things happen. Praying. And you guys know that a lot of Sundays the kids are willing to pray up front. I look at myself at 10, 12, 8, 9 years old, praying. How about it? Praying in front of a body like this, But they do it. It's happening. God's stepping it up in the kids. And we need to just grab a hold of that. So kids ministry will be an increase. Whatever that looks like, it'll expand. The other thing is the building. We talked, this was a couple months ago, probably a little bit before. If you remember, we called the church to a fast. And we were going to fast and pray what God has for us for the future. Okay? We're at the point where we feel a building sometime, some way, somehow will be in the works. So we just need to keep praying, seeking God, and that all come out of our trip to the DR. How about it? We really felt like God showed in our spirits that someday we will have a building to operate out of. Not that a building is the most important thing, but you need that. We need a place, a home base, a mission base in a sense to work out of. Remember, the church isn't the building. We are the church. People are the church, the chosen one. That's literally what church means. So we will keep pursuing that, we're going to start a series in probably a couple, 3 weeks here, looking ahead for the future, and part of that will be finances. And believe me, it's not high on my list to talk about, but we have to, as a body of believers, and we'll get into the financial thing, and I know Debbie has some stuff she wants to share on that too. So, and then we'll see how that forms out. The bottom line is, unless God moves, and I believe He can, if He wants to give us a building, things would fall into place that we would not have to borrow a cent of money. I mean, and I am totally open to that, but the other side of it is, if we do have to buy a building sometime, and we had met with financial officers, two different institutions, anymore, it'll take 25% down. The way the banks are structured anymore and whatnot, right? We talked about this, Renee. It's going to cost you 25%. So if we're borrowing, let's say, $400,000, we need to have $100,000 right up front before the banks will even talk to us. And maybe God will move. We are open to that. We will see once what will happen. We have some money set back now that we're saving for that building fund. I think we just talked about this. There's like 60,000 in there, something like that. So we're trying to put some money back. By the way, the new budgets are over here. And what we spent the last fiscal year, they're over here too. So if you are so interested in that, here again, we have an open door policy. It's over here on the table, so you can grab that. So anyway, that's the deal on finances. I really felt like I needed to touch on that quick. And we'll talk more about saving in the future, about tithing and some things like that. One thing that will be new for 2011, and this come out of the elders had a time where we got together and just spent like an hour. We didn't talk, no agenda, just got on our face before the Lord. One thing that's going to happen in 2011 is we're going to have what we call a Get to Know River Church. We have not had any kind of welcome class, for you guys. Anything, it's really not a class, but it'll be a get-together where what we're going to do, we'll have a sign-up sheet, maybe 8 people, 8, 10, something like that. We were talking about that. We're going to have you at our house, and we're going to get together and talk about the church, some of the foundational things like that. I mean, let's think about it. Everybody that comes here, you all have a perception of what church should look like. And a lot of that depends on how you grew up and how you were raised and whatnot. So you have this perception of church. Well, we really feel like it's our responsibility that and this is for everyone, if you've been here from day one, that what River Church is all about. And how do you know that unless we and the elders sit down and say, here's what we believe, here's why we do what we do, here's how we got the name River Church. I mean, there's a bunch of foundational stuff, and we want over the next year, all of you to be part of that. And we're trying to set it up as new people come, like, if this is your first Sunday and you think, well, that's something I'd like to be part of, we're taking a look at it that way. So if a new person comes to us and say, I'm thinking about a church maybe here, coming to church with you guys, being part of this family, that we can sit down and talk to them so they at least have some idea what River Church is all about. Like I said, why we do what we do, why we don't do some of the things we do. Very simple. And that's just being a good family. So we're going to do that. That'll be this year. You'll hear we're working on that. We're going to start working on that right now. We'll probably do it like once a month, and we'll have you at our place. We'll get a time together, and we'll have a sign-up sheet. Do you have anything you want to add to that, honey? Is there anything I'm missing on that? I give these guys too. We talked on Friday. If there's anything they want to add to any of this, why, to get up and be willing to do that. So anyway, enough on that. You'll hear more about that later. Get to know River Church. The other thing I wanted to talk about was missions. This was something that God established in 2010, was the whole mission thing. Mac and Lori King, we brought them on as mission pastors where they'd actually head the mission. We just seen this happen where God calling people out to go places and do things, and DR. Last year we were in the DR. We were in West Virginia. Tina talked about the Philly trip. We're establishing some things in there, and there will be an increase in that. Actually, Mac and Lori are out in the state of Indiana this weekend visiting some friends. But, we had talked to them about this, and we wanted to put out there what we know already for 2011. And this is a great commission of God. And the things that God teaches us out there in the mission field, man, it makes an incredible difference in the church and in our community. So having said that, we just talked this week. They are planning, I'm throwing this out here for the first time, we're going back down to the DR in April. Now, we know there were some people that showed an interest in this already that had come to us and said, if you go again, I feel like I need to go. Well, we're putting it out there right now. In April, we're going to be going back down. We'll get the dates and all that, so it's not a whole lot of time. So if this is something that's stirred in your heart to go down, I know the 18 of us that went down last time, 17, 18, it was an incredible experience. And if you've never went on a short-term mission trip, pretty cool. Plus, if you're not ready to go for a week, okay, to a foreign country, that's why this Philadelphia thing is big. God's established, and we'll go on, day trips in a sense, where you go and witness and go in the good news of Jesus Christ for a day. So that's going to be available. This whole mission thing, this whole thing of gone out. And we have some stuff planned. I know we're going to have like River Day in the community here again and just stuff like that. So missions was established in 2010. It will be increased, I believe, in 2011. So that's that. Next thing is small groups. Dale and Char, you want to come just briefly, some stuff you guys are seeing they don't really head this ministry as elders, but it's on their heart, the whole small group thing. So I said, you guys may as well talk about it and just give you a basis for it.
We're not sure exactly what small groups is going to look like, but it's something that's been on our hearts, especially yours, I guess, but both of us. We see the importance of it, and we see, we know what it's done in our lives in the past. And just some things in looking ahead, we don't want to try and make small groups look a certain way. In the past we've done some Bible studies. We may do some more of that. But also we want to open it up. If God is stirring something in you, if God's brought someone into your life that you feel you need to just spend time with as a small group, come to us. Let us know. We want to just be able to pray for you and, cover you guys as you do that. So if God's stirring something in you, maybe you'll open it up for a lot of people to come to your house. Maybe it's more specific toward a certain group of people or one other couple, whatever that looks like. If God's stirring something in you, come to us and let us know. And we just want to be part of that, and we'll see what God does through that.
And it just comes out of our heart for just wanting to know more about Jesus, and the way that we get to do that is just by encouragement one way, through other people. When you're struggling with something and you have a group of people around you encouraging you and just teaching you even more, maybe we all need taught new things about